Hello everyone, I'm Rachel and I welcome you all to Executive Corner Expert Talks. Today I'm speaking with Mike Vasavada. Mike is the director of �Mobidiction. They are a new age innovation consultancy platform. Here at 𝐊𝐴𝐼𝐼, we bring you industry leaders, successful business owners, market and equity advocates, all under one roof to help you discover the insights of the stock market and help you understand how you can create multiple passive income streams. A very warm welcome to you today, Mike.
Hey, good to meet you.
Now, first up, Mike, could you start by explaining what �Mobidiction does?
Yeah, look, �Mobidiction is an Australian-based technology company. We started about 10 years ago, and we started off with the humble smartphone as a device where we started to explore applications, but we've now grown into a digital experience, customer experience, digitally aware company.
So, Mike, what do you think the Australian digital industry's weak and strong points are currently?
Right. Okay. Very interesting. Let's start with the positive. I think, in terms of the Australian companies taking on digital as a channel. From my experience, frankly, I think I've seen digital adoption is huge. So when companies come to adopting digital technologies, looking at how the global industries are, I think Australian companies are really good at adoption. And, if you look at the shortfalls, I think we've got a little gap in terms of the Australian digital industry. You look at close to 8% of our GDP, for example, whereas you measure that with counterparts in the US or EU, for example, we're talking about a huge difference there. We're talking about 25%, right? So we've got a gap to fill in terms of how Australia continues to evolve and move forward. Just another shortfall also is the way Australian enterprises invest in technology. So the government is actually doing a lot across all states. So you've got innovation hubs, you've got enterprise programs fostering innovation. But I think getting to market in terms of global reach, how Australian companies can actually scale up their enterprise or startup, for example, is going to be quite challenging because that needs a different dynamic, and we don't have the scale of people at the moment in Australia. So I think that there's some work to do there.
Yes, absolutely. And Mike, what do you believe is the most significant advancement you see in the industry this year? Well,
look, again, and I'm trying to be very positive about this. From my experience, again, if I look at the way companies have suddenly evolved and erupted in terms of adopting to digital technologies due to COVID-19, the pandemic, right? Now, there is an inherent need for companies to suddenly take on new channels of engagement, right? Now, previously, a lot of companies were looking at creating digital solutions if there was a problem that cropped up. But now, it's the other way. You've got to be at the forefront of technology. You've got to be where your customer is, right? And at the moment, I think the biggest trend is how companies are actually looking at partnering with other people, the work from home mentality, and how that culture has grown. You look at the SME market, SME in the whole segment in Australia. We're talking about, I think I was reading a report somewhere and said close to 90% of SMEs in Australia are tech focused. Now that's a huge area where there's going to be a lot of new developments happening. But kudos to the companies who actually adopted digital and taken it on their stride, especially during this pandemic.
And what is the most significant, and on that note, when you're looking at key factors, what do you keep in mind significantly while building digital solutions that are suited for various different types of businesses?
Yeah, look, I think the premise of digital is not how you code or how you apply an application to a problem. I think companies need to look back always at a customer first what is the problem you're trying to solve, or what is the need in the market that you're trying to resolve, right? And I think if you work backwards, and I see that a lot in terms of companies, where companies too often go into sort of into a mode where they're actually trying to build solutions already without understanding what is the problem they're trying to solve, what channels are these customers interacting. So having a core focus on your customer, I think, is very important, and that's what we do at Moby Diction as well.
Absolutely. And so, in your opinion there, what do you think makes Moby Diction unique to the market?
Look, I think there's a lot of companies out there, obviously fostering innovation and trying to sort of upscale when it comes to your team members and all that. But I think one of the philosophies that I always let my people, let the partners that we work with always work on is a continuous improvement model. Now you've got to look at I talk about it as the three pillars. I talk about it as A, I, and M. And the A being for continuously being able to analyze whatever you're building, whether it's digital products or services for your customers or users. You're talking about an improvement process. So you're always looking at ways to improve that, and that is done by measurement. So it's your analyze, improve, and measure. It's a continuous cycle, right?
And you have been assisting Australian businesses to transform and innovate. How do you envision the future of AI-powered tech here in the Australian economy?
Right. Okay. Look, that's a huge area of growth, right? We know, topics of AI, the areas of machine learning, whether it's object recognition or NLP processes or all that. I think what's going to be really important is smart things are going to get much more smarter anyway, right? Those things are going to keep growing. So Australian companies will have to keep adopting to newer ways of engaging. The growth of predictability of your customer, or whether it's disease management, for example, object recognition, all of that. It's just going to keep growing. So I think technology is just going to keep evolving and becoming smarter by the day. So companies will have to have their ears really close to the ground when it comes to these kind of technologies, right?
And just lastly, Mike, how do you feel that COVID has impacted the digital industry? Has it pushed it forward faster than maybe if we hadn't seen a COVID pandemic?
Look, I think absolutely. Whilst there's been cases of a lot of businesses, suffering and because of COVID, there's been a lot of case studies where people and businesses have had to adapt to new ways of interacting with customers. They've had to quickly scale up their production services, their partner management programs, all of that, right? I was reading somewhere a while ago that in February 2020, when the first COVID-19 started to impact the world, it took less than a week for the top 10 keywords on Amazon to become COVID-19 related, right? And that's the significant impact that COVID-19 has had. And I see a lot of businesses actually adopting to technology really quick. Again, I think overseas we're talking about the rapid pace of innovation and going to market has increased by 3 years on an average, apparently. So we're talking about bringing forth innovation really quick.
Well, it's been absolutely fascinating chatting with you today, Mike. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Thank you all.
Thank you. And with that, I will sign off for today. But watch the space for more. Till then, stay apprised and invest wise with 𝐊𝐴𝐚.